No intro, so I'm just gonna cut to the chase here.
I know I say that every time, but this time really, nothing will stop me.
We hardly had any idea who Taboo was. I hated each of Mother Brain's appearances. Jasper Bat Jr. had a lame fight. Porky Minch had a crappy motive. And Count Feger had a bland personality. For a villain to be number one, he has to fit all the criteria. And I found one villain that does. Ladies and gentlemen, Zand, the Misguided Wizard. Why, oh why, oh why, oh why is he number one, you may ask? Well, unlike most people, apparently, I actually looked up his backstory. He was a sorcerer student of the great magus Noah, who was given the gift of mortality, but however, he wasn't very thankful at all with this gift. So his motive is to freeze time so that he will never die. That is by far the worst motive I have ever heard. I mean, if you freeze time, it would technically be still destroying yourself. And it still doesn't explain his backstory completely. Granted, more than that of Taboo, but still. And it's just as bland as that of his personality. So the character? Yeah. Quite a downgrade. Especially considering the fact the last game had the Emperor who conquered heaven and hell. Heaven and hell! And in this game we get a mediocre sorcerer who's not only afraid to die, but wasn't even evil to begin with. That alone could pretty much sum that up, but there's more to it. Then you finally get to the fight against him, which is not only bad, but can also be summed up in one word. Akuma. This means that he can deal tons of damage, but he can take tons of damage as well. The only differences are that Akuma's awesome, and Zand takes minimal strategy to beat as well. So what happens exactly when you beat this form? Well, this happens.
Oh, are you serious? Are you serious?
Not only is the design terrible, but the fight is just so freaking long. Heck, there's even a point where you can't even deal damage to him. A good villain should be evil, not Zand, conniving, not Zand, well thought out, not Zand, have a good motive, not Zand, and eventually put up a good fight, also not Zand. In fact, I think Zand should get the reward for being the worst video game villain, especially in Final Fantasy, not Exdeath or Necrom. Now let's move on to my favorite video game villain of all time before I lose my sanity.
I know I say that every time, but this time really, nothing will stop me.
To me, it was an obvious choice for number one. Well, what can I say? Dementio just had to be the number one spot on my list. But you're probably wondering why that is exactly. Well, he's pretty much everything I love about not just a villain, but a character in general. I mean, he just explodes with personality, because he's the master of dimensions, as well as the pleaser of crowds. And the similes that he uses are just so ridiculous, that it's actually pretty funny. And this motive has a lot of hype, which a lot of villains seem to suffer from most of the time. He goes from hypnotizing Fractale into thinking Mario is not the hero of the Light Prognosticus, but the enemy of his, to eventually creating an entire dimension that increases his power, to using the power of the Flora Sapien has to control both O-Chunks, and even Luigi, to almost killing Mario, Peach, and Bowser, to literally asking Mario and Luigi to help them destroy the Count, and even persuading them to join him, to literally taking control of the Chaos Heart away from Count Bleck, only to tell you that he was using each of the four heroes to destroy all worlds and create perfect new ones. How can you not find this plan impressive? It's so complete! And he's even combined his power with the Chaos Art, and even Luigi's, into creating the almighty, all-powerful Super Dementio. I love that! And even better, he unleashes it when all the power of the Pure Hearts have been drained. That is amazing. Does this make the fight with him good? You bet it does. To be honest, I don't care who you are. You can't deny how well thought out his plan is. Heck, he even plans to lose. Granted, that could explain why the fights are fairly easy, but hey, to me, they're the good kinds of easy. And again, you can't deny that he is by far the most well thought out villain you have ever seen. Okay, I'll admit, it is predictable of me, sort of. But face it, you cannot, I repeat, cannot look me in the eye and say that Dementio is not at least a decent villain. You know what? I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm a Super Dementio, and Dementio is not only my favorite video game villain, and even of all media, but he's also my favorite Mario character.
Of course.
Huh. I think I have my own running gag. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go attend to my own projects.